Welcome back to the channel, my spooky friends. Tonight, we're getting uncomfortably close to some restless spirits. I'm talking about the ghosts that haunt bell towers. These looming structures, often the tallest points in a town, stand guard over the living and the dead. It's no wonder these lonely sentinels become hotspots for paranormal activity. We're diving into 3 creepy legends of haunted bell towers, stories that will leave you sleeping with the lights on. And if you make it to the end of this video, you're braver than most. Hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next terrifying tale.
Our first stop takes us to the windswept coast of England, to a small forgotten village huddled in the shadow of St. Albans Church. St. Albans had seen better days. The stone was weathered, the stained glass windows dull with age, but the bell tower still stood tall. Here we find the story of Thomas, the bell ringer. Thomas was a solitary man, more comfortable among the birds and the clouds than his fellow villagers. He lived a simple life, dedicated to marking the hours with the deep, resonant peal of the church bell. Every morning, noon and night, the villagers could set their clocks by the sound of Thomas's bell. But one particularly violent storm, the bell remained strangely silent. The wind howled, the rain lashed against the stone walls, but there was no comforting chime to cut through the fear. When the storm finally subsided, the villagers discovered the bell tower door swinging open, creaking mournfully in the wind. Inside, there was no sign of Thomas, just an eerie silence where the rhythmic clang of the bell should have been. Some whispered that he had sought shelter from the storm and met with an unfortunate accident. Others claimed the storm had taken him, dragging his soul out with the tide. Years passed. The memory of the missing bell ringer faded into local folklore. But then, on the anniversary of that fateful storm, as the clock struck midnight, a bone-chilling sound pierced the silence. It was the bell, tolling mournfully, the sound heavy with sorrow and the weight of the unseen. The villagers, drawn from their homes by the unearthly sound, swore they could see a faint spectral figure silhouetted against the moonlit window of the bell tower. From that day forward, every year, as the clock strikes midnight on the anniversary of the storm, the bell tolls. A chilling reminder of the poor, forgotten bell ringer. Some say it's the wind whistling through the gaps in the tower. Others, the mournful cry of a restless spirit, forever bound to his duty, even in death.
But the mystery of St. Albans goes beyond the phantom bell ringer. Villagers whisper of strange occurrences, cold spots, and the feeling of being watched, especially around the anniversary of the storm. Is Thomas's ghost seeking company in his lonely vigil? Or is there something more sinister lurking within the shadows of the old bell tower? Visitors to St. Albans claim an oppressive atmosphere hangs heavy in the air, a sense of unseen eyes watching their every move. They speak of disembodied whispers carried on the wind, whispers that seem to emanate from the bell tower itself. One chilling account tells of a group of friends who dared to spend the night in the church. As the clock ticked down to midnight, they claimed to hear the distinct sound of heavy footsteps ascending the stairs to the bell tower, each step slow, deliberate, and filled with a chilling intent. The footsteps stopped just outside their door, followed by an eerie silence that stretched on for what felt like an eternity. Terrified, the friends huddled together, afraid to breathe, let alone move. Finally, after what felt like hours, the footsteps retreated, fading into the darkness as mysteriously as they had come.
Our next tale takes us across the ocean to the heartland of America, where a forgotten bell tower stands sentinel over a ghost town, swallowed by the vast wilderness. The town of Silent Hollow, once a bustling hub of activity, now stands deserted, its buildings crumbling under the weight of time and neglect. The bell tower, however, remains eerily intact, a stark reminder of the life that once pulsed through the streets below. Locals tell tales of a curse, a malevolent energy that permeates the very ground on which Silent Hollow stands. It began, as these stories often do, with a tragedy. The bell tower, newly constructed and gleaming with pride, was to be the heart of the town, its bell calling the faithful to prayer and marking the passage of time for the growing community. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. On the day the bell was to be hung, a freak accident claimed the life of the town's beloved blacksmith, a man known for his kind heart and booming laugh. As the bell was being hoisted, the rope snapped, sending the massive metal structure crashing down upon the unsuspecting blacksmith. The town was devastated. The blacksmith was not just their craftsman, but their friend, their confidant, the heart and soul of their small community. His loss left a void that seemed impossible to fill. The bell, though undamaged in the fall, was never hung. The townsfolk, haunted by the blacksmith's tragic end, deemed it cursed, a symbol of their collective grief and the fragility of life. Some say that as the blacksmith drew his last breath, he cursed the bell and the town it was meant to serve, condemning them both to a fate far worse than death, oblivion. As the years passed, Silent Hollow was plagued by misfortune. Crops failed, businesses shuttered, and a strange illness swept through the town, claiming the lives of young and old alike. Whispers of the curse spread like wildfire, and soon the once thriving town was deserted, its inhabitants scattering to the wind, desperate to escape the misfortune that seemed to cling to them like a shroud. The bell tower, however, remained, a silent guardian over the ghost town, a grim reminder of the curse that had befallen Silent Hollow.
Locals say that the blacksmith's spirit still lingers in the tower, his anger and sorrow palpable in the eerie silence that hangs heavy in the air. They say that if you listen closely, you can still hear the clang of the bell, not a joyous peal, but a mournful toll, a constant reminder of the tragedy that befell Silent Hollow.
Chapter 3. The Ghostly Toll of Midnight. Our final destination takes us to the misty shores of Scotland, to a small, isolated island shrouded in fog and steeped in ancient lore. Here, perched precariously on a windswept cliff overlooking the churning sea below, stands the ruins of St. Margaret's Abbey, its skeletal remains a haunting reminder of its former glory. But it's the Abbey's bell tower, still remarkably intact despite the ravages of time and weather, that draws our attention tonight. For it's within the shadow of this crumbling edifice that we find the legend of the ghostly toll of midnight, a tale whispered in hushed tones by the islanders, their voices heavy with a mixture of fear and reverence. The legend dates back centuries, to a time when the Abbey was a beacon of hope and faith, its bells ringing out across the island, a comforting sound that brought solace and a sense of community to the isolated inhabitants. But tragedy, as it so often does, struck St. Margaret's, leaving an indelible mark on the Abbey and its once sacred grounds. A terrible storm, unlike any seen before or since, descended upon the island, unleashing its fury on the unsuspecting inhabitants. The sea raged, waves crashing against the cliffs with terrifying force, swallowing homes and businesses whole. The wind howled like a banshee, tearing through the village, ripping roofs from houses and sending debris flying through the air with deadly velocity. The islanders, caught in the storm's relentless grip, sought refuge in the Abbey, believing its thick stone walls and the grace of God would offer them protection from the elements. But the storm, it seemed, was not content with material destruction. It craved something more, something far more precious, human life. As the storm raged outside, a fire, sparked by a stray bolt of lightning, erupted within the Abbey walls. Panic ensued as the flames spread with terrifying speed, fueled by the wind that whipped through the broken windows. The islanders, trapped within the inferno, their escape cut off by the raging fire, met a horrific end, their screams swallowed by the roar of the storm. When the storm finally subsided, leaving behind a trail of devastation and death, the islanders returned to the Abbey, their hearts heavy with grief and dread. The once grand structure was now a smouldering ruin, its interior a charred testament to the inferno that had raged within. And amidst the rubble and ash, they discovered the bodies of their loved ones, their faces frozen in expressions of terror and despair. The bell tower miraculously remained standing, its stone walls blackened by smoke but otherwise unharmed. But something had changed. The bells, once a source of comfort and hope, now remained eerily silent, their voices stilled by the weight of the tragedy they had witnessed. It was then that the whispers began. Islanders claimed to hear a faint tolling emanating from the bell tower at the stroke of midnight, a mournful sound that seemed to weep for the souls lost in the storm. Some dismissed it as the wind whistling through the tower's broken windows, a natural explanation for an eerie phenomenon.
So there you have it. 3 tales of haunted bell towers, each more chilling than the last. Which one kept you up at night? Let me know in the comments below. Remember, every bell has its story, and some stories are best left untold. But here on this channel, we're brave enough to face them. If you dared to make it this far, you are too. Click that subscribe button and join our community of horror enthusiasts. Until next time, sweet dreams. And if you hear a bell tolling at midnight, well, just hope it's not for you.